Okay, hello and welcome back to Land Rover Toolbox videos. It is just a little bit of shout out for Raptors Garage. It's something that's appeared on YouTube just recently, and it's quite interesting that might be useful to some of you guys. So I'm going to leave a link below and you can go and see what Raptor's all about. Okay, so the second one is Bug Out Vehicles UK Torn Apart Self-Sufficiency. Now, these are a bunch of Land Rover guys, and the channel is itself very interesting, especially into camping or bugging out. One thing here, which is a respray. I'll just move the screen so I can get it so you can see it. This is do-it-yourself Land Rover 110 respray, and again, I'll leave a link below so you go and have a watch at it and see what you think about the final job on it. I must admit, some of these Land Rover channels are absolutely fantastic, and I have spent a little bit of time watching some of them. And of course, it's always beneficial to give you a shout out to the people who do them, to say thank you very much for putting this stuff on YouTube, and it's always a resource for you guys as well. Take a look if you're interested, the link will be below. Okay, so here's a little bit of a moan, and this is because if you read what Dennis has put, he said, "My Rover just shut down for no apparent reason, sat for 20 minutes and started up again, ran for 1.5 hours and shut down again, still doing it, question mark." And yeah, okay, so you've got a Rover and it doesn't start after 20 minutes. That's honestly not very helpful to yourself, because I can't answer that. What type of Rover is it? A V8, or is it something with like a TD or Puma? I don't know, so I'm sorry, I can't really answer that. But I did put a comment there. If you're interested, Dennis, tell me what type of vehicle it is. We could get on with it. Now, Jose, he or she, possibly a he, it's got this is a bit better because it says what it is: a 2003 Land Rover Freelander SE. Runs for a while and then turns off and it won't start again. Yeah, actually, he's asking, is this a crankshaft position sensor? And yeah, I've answered this. Yeah, possibly it could be, because you have a certain heat sink effect. Okay, so that's something, when people are asking me questions, if you could give me more details, I'll be able to help you. Unlike what Dennis has put, which is just a gorilla here. Whereas Steve 60855, "Hi Chris, are there any pitfalls with fitting a boost pin and the boost ring?" Well, yeah, there's pitfalls to everything, but generally, no. A lot of people have done the boost ring and the boost pin as well without any problems. It does seem to push the performance. It's just giving the pump a little bit more edge. The problem comes if you have a faulty pump, of course, then you're going to have issues. Now, there is a video on YouTube by Cy Hatherley, who's actually an HGV fitter, and he's done a video ages ago. What happens if the pump pin is seized and you can't get it out? Now, below will be a link for you to go and have a look, and he's actually taking the pump to bits and he's showing you what happens when you can't change the pin over because there's something else in the way. So this is a good resource for you. I mean, to be honest with you, probably if I was running a 300 TDI, I'd have put a boost pin in by now, but I don't. I'm on TD5 at the moment. Okay, so Matthew said, "Beautiful Chris, lovely to see you as always, excellent attention to detail, loved it as always." And this was the 110 heater matrix, putting a larger heater matrix into the 110 Defender heat box. Well, yeah, cheers bud, I'd appreciate that. And yes, we do try to go into some detail, because it is where all the attention needs to be put into, rather than just telling you can do something. You know, it's just the way we roll, isn't it? So anyway, talking of TD5s, I've got a couple of axles dropped off at the workshop, and I'd like to thank Hans Schumann for this. He's one of our followers. And these TD5 axles, well, actually, they can be put under 110 Defenders with a little bit of welding, and these are quite advantageous because they are a little bit wider and you get a little bit more turning circle. I've been looking into this, and it is very possible with the help of YRM. You can cut the brackets off and weld some on. So what I need to do is prep these axles, and I think this is going to have to be one of our video projects, is to weld on some new brackets on this. So anyway, I've got big ears, and the other day at work, after welding or during welding, I had a bit of hot metal and that hurt. I went right down into my ear and burnt my eardrum. I wasn't laying down on the floor, I was actually welding in this position, as you can see, and it just one of those freak accidents. It shot off, bounced in my ear, and got me just there, and it still hurts now. I've been to the hospital. So yeah, I didn't have one of these on. I should have, but work doesn't supply it, and this is the thing that you really need to wear all the time that you're welding, whatever. Awesome earplugs. Okay, so you have the happy hero pose, which is like this, which is no welding helmet on and squint eyes to do some welding. Just don't do it. Basically, you are being hit by ultraviolet radiation, and it will get through your eyes. It will also burn your face. Even worse, if it's aluminium welding, it will burn your skin a lot more aggressively. Of course, people with open shirts as well, yeah, you're going to burn your shirt and get loads of holes in it. Actually, this isn't from welding. The holes are from somewhere else. Always have something and close it up. And yeah, you get these guys that just want to do a little bit of a tack, so they'll not bother with a helmet, even though it might be right close to them. Next thing you know, they're screwed up. Don't forget the ultraviolet will get any uncovered skin, and especially these things here. You've got to look after these. You only get one pair. I know they degrade over time, but that's beside the point. Now, archive, and this is one of the things when you wake up in the middle of the night and it feels like somebody has thrown sand in your eyes, and it really, really hurts. I've been there, don't worry. Yeah, well, I've got a solution for this. I make myself a cup of coffee because I'm happy because I wear a welding mask, and this is for the guy who wakes up with archive in the middle of the night. 2 tea bags. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but basically putting tea bags over your eyes actually helps to soothe the pain. There's nothing more you can do about it because the radiation has always smacked you in the eye. So basically, yeah, you just wake up in the middle of the night, go and make yourself 2 tea bags, and then lay them on there like so, and let the juice run into your eyeballs, and that is just the way you roll, okay? That actually works. So I don't know why it is. You can Google it, find out. Tanning is actually good for your eyes for some reason or another, and even just doing what I did there, it still actually feels quite good. It's quite refreshing. So I mean, come on, you've got to be realistic. If you even when you're just tacking up or you're doing a sheet, clamp it or whatever you have to do, and wear your safety gear, whatever, because this stuff that's coming off the welder is brighter than the midday sun, and it is going to burn you straight away. All right, you can get toughened to it, but there is the chance of getting skin cancer. Now, what I'm doing here with tacking, I can see exactly what I'm doing, where my rod is going to, because I'm wearing a reactor light or speed lens. Okay, so the speed lens there you can see through it. It's quite good until you strike an arc, and then it will go dark. Those guys who have got them know what I'm talking about. Now basically what you have here is what it would look like before you strike the arc, so you can see you have plenty of vision, and then once you strike your arc you are then getting something like this, okay, which everything else is blacked out, but you can see the brightest part, and it's only just illuminated. So, come on, it makes sense, is look after yourself. And I've seen this on Facebook recently, somebody asking about how to cure archive. Well, I've just told you. So, anyway, our project chassis, okay, yeah, I know I haven't got to it at the moment. It's actually started rusting, so I had to quickly paint it. This is a galvanised chassis, and the galv is pretty good on the inside of it. So this is what I want to talk about next, is welding galvanised steel, because it is very important. In the UK, we have Health and Safety Executive, and there is a page about welding and fume gases. Now, what they say, metal fume fever, I'll read this out to you. And this is regarding welding galvanised steel. Okay, so many welders report flu-like symptoms after welding. The effects are often worse at the start of the working week. Well, obviously these guys are working all week long. Metal fume fever is usually linked to welding or hot work on galvanised metals. High exposure to mild steel weld fumes can cause illness. The fever does not usually have any lasting ill effects. And it says, don't believe the stories about drinking milk before welding. It does not prevent you getting fume fever. As this document implies, that the welding galvanized steel is no different from welding any other mild steel products. So you take the same precautions as you would be when you're welding mild steel. Well, basically, galvanization is, for want of a better word, it is a zinc coating, okay, and it's a sacrificial coating. And you weld it away and you'll see the fumes there. Well, actually, that is vaporizing zinc. It vaporizes at 1300 degrees centigrade. I'll put the temperature up on the screen later, but basically what you're doing is you're vaporizing the zinc. And if you can see in this picture, there's loads of bits of white floating about. That also is zinc oxide. Now, zinc oxide in itself is not toxic. However, you can get fume poisoning from too many fumes, and this is from all types of welding. I actually use a mask like this, so I'm not breathing it in, because the amount that you're going to fill in that workshop or small space in a short amount of time is quite considerable. If you do get it into your lungs, it will be absorbed into your body. However, it's best to not absorb too much in one go. Your body does need zinc, but you should really take that through food. And obviously, like I said, if you're just welding like this, scratching like a chicken, you are going to make yourself ill. And after a while, you will be really ill. So look after yourself. Anyway, this is a galvanized steel, and I did a little bit of welding on it earlier. You can see the penetration through there. And it's fairly thick. I think that was 3.25 steel. The penetration, as I said, it is pretty good. But on the other side, the welding is utter shite. Okay, for want of a better word, the zinc has just fucked up the weld. I can't say it any other way. It's just it's even held the slag onto the metal. It's not good if you don't clean it off. The other thing is it produces a white dust, as you see in earlier, that flows about everywhere. So what I'm going to do, basically, I'm going to just do a quick demo to show you welding galvanized steel. Now, this magnet is very strong, and it's better to use something like this than to struggle. My balancing stuff anyway. Right, so I've got a flat wheel in this one, and I'm just going to clean this up. And you'll see that the flat wheel cleans the galv off the steel actually a lot better than the angle grinder does. And the whole idea here is to clean the metal off so your weld is not being fouled up by any impurities. The cleaner your metal, obviously, especially with stick welding, the better it's going to be. MIG welding, it's almost impossible to weld galv properly. With the second grinder I have here, it's using a grinding disc, and you'll see as I'm grinding the surface of the metal, you can see the difference of the quality of how it's being cleaned. There's a lot more impurities still left on the metal. The grinder won't get 100% of it off, and nor will the flat wheel, but you need to try. And well, okay, so I'll weld both of these, and then I'll weld over onto galv and see what you can see. I'm using AC current on this with 3.25 rods, and it's not got a hot start, and I think the rods are actually slightly damp because they've started to stick a little bit. But the results of this, okay, you can see here, there's not as much splatter. The slag will actually come off. And the weld, well, it's not brilliant. Obviously, it's pulling up some sort of impurities into the slag, but at least it's an acceptable weld. So what you see, the weld is still hot. It did actually quite hot. And you will see the zinc, or it's actually zinc oxide. And that's the white fluffy stuff there. Okay, well, zinc oxide, actually, they use it in skin creams for blocking out sun, and apparently the zinc will itself absorb into your body over time. Too much of it obviously is going to make you ill. So basically this white powder isn't too bad. It isn't going to hurt your skin. Breathing too much of it obviously is, and this is because of smoke, I actually have quite sensitive lungs. From before, it has caused me problems. This is why I wear a mask. But you can see the white powder. You're not going to be badly affected by it. However, what I do is with a vacuum cleaner. Now this vacuum cleaner is for cleaning out ash from fire pits or the fire you'd have at home. It's actually got a tin barrel there, so that's good enough, and it won't melt if I do happen to get a hot spark in there, whereas the filter, being paper, it might well actually set light to itself. One idea would be to use this vacuum cleaner for fume extraction, however it is not strong enough. But I'd like to thank 4B4x4 for sending this to me, and it is really useful because believe it or not, welding with stick leaves a hell of a lot of mess around, so just a quick clean up of the workbench with this and we're good to go. So I'd have to apologise to the people who have been waiting for the chassis welding tutorials. The chassis will be put back on stands and then I'm going to weld it, but I've also got an idea in mind and I'll throw it out at you later on in the video series, okay?